Embracing the suck, finding comfort in. It was pitch black, pitch black, and I grabbed a stick and was like trying to find my way, and I kept falling into cactuses, and then at one point I realized I was on the edge of a cliff.
I need a minute to meditate. Give me a second, babe. Full of regret, I've been stressing on everything. So I'm gonna need everything.
Hey guys, yeah, we're back at it again with another cultured podcast. Today we have a special guest. She's insanely sweet and just kind and just so welcoming. We have Christina.
Hi. Hello.
I'm so excited to have her on the podcast. She has met up with one of, not my heroes, but just someone I'm like really inspired by and have learned a lot by and just gotten a lot of motivation by him. But can you introduce yourself a little bit, Christina?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Christina Casey, and I'm a registered nurse that specializes in hospice and end-of-life care, and I'm a Wim Hof instructor and a women's wellness coach.
Yeah. I just love how we connected just on Instagram. She's so nice. I sent her a message, and we actually did. We're gonna dive into it a bit, and I want you to go over like how the ice bath and all of that works. But can you describe what it is to be a Wim Hof instructor?
So,
what that means?
So Wim Hof is a person. He's a Dutch man that holds 20, or at one point has held 26 world records. And he developed this method called the Wim Hof Method that combines breathwork, cold training, and mental focus.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to go train with him. I've been to Spain with him. I climbed Mount Sniezka in Poland in the winter in nothing but shorts and a sports bra. And then I completed the instructor training as well. And we found, like, through not just like feeling it in ourselves, which you do, as you felt with the method, but there's a lot of scientific data and studies that support the benefits that the Wim Hof method does. It helps with immunity, it helps with mood, it helps with inflammation, it helps with pain, it helps with stress management and sleep. And you know, there's even more studies out there that are coming back to show that this breath work and cold training really can give you a lot of positive benefits.
Yeah. What was the biggest, like, how did you even get to meeting Wim Hof? And
so I was a CrossFitter for a long time, and a pretty active CrossFitter, and I also practiced yoga. And I always felt like there was something missing. I needed this, like, there was a link between the two of them, and I never knew what it was, but I felt like that there needed to be something else in my life. And then during a really transformative time in my life, you know, I've been a hospice nurse for 19 years, and working in death makes you appreciate life. And, you know, my day-to-day job is helping people with life review and accepting their mortality and working with people who are losing their loved ones. And so every day I'm reminded that life is a gift. And this time in my life, I had just left my husband of 20 years, and my kids were growing up and starting to leave the house, and I was in a kind of a...
How long ago was this?
This was 4 years ago.
Okay, nice.
And I was in an identity crisis. Like, who am I? Who am I without all these labels of, like, wife, mother, like, even nurse? Like, what if you took all those labels away? Then who am I? And I was in a yoga teacher training program here in LA in Sherman Oaks at Rising Lotus. And luckily my yoga mentor had been practicing the Wim Hof breathwork. One of the limbs of yoga has 8 limbs. One of them is pranayama, which is breath work.
Okay.
And so we were reviewing different styles of breath work, and there's many, many different styles of breath work out there. And in the Wim Hof breath work, in that first round, it felt like it was the first time I met myself. It felt like my body and my soul were introduced for the first time, and I just connected with it immediately.
Could you, before you continue, could you explain that feeling? Because I know it's like, it's hard to explain, but I would love for you to...
So what it felt like to me is that I, like so many of us, are used to constant stimulation. You know, I grew up in a big family. We always had the TV on. I always I have a bunch of little kids around all the time. I have lots of friends. There's this like constant stimulation. And very rarely did I found meditation really hard. I also have ADD. And so for just to sit down and sit and meditate is really difficult. My mind starts racing. And in that first round of the breath work, it was the first time I felt peace in myself. That chatter, what we call in yoga, chitta vritti, the fluctuation of your thoughts. It was the first time that it calmed down enough that I really felt my own body from the inside out, and I really felt that connection. Yeah, it was powerful. And then I always, say that I have two sides to my brain. I have this nurse side that believes in evidence-based practices and peer-reviewed blind studies. And then I have the hippie side that like puts her crystals out on the full moon and dances naked in the morning. And they're kind of at odds with each other a lot of the time. And so after this round of this Wim Hof breath work where my mind was blown, that my hippie brain was sold. Yeah. She was like, got it. This is it. Whatever this is, we're doing this. Then my nurse brain came home and I did a deep dive on all the studies and all the science behind it. And it was like it's like my two sides of my brain could finally agree on something. And so like that night I booked a trip with Wim. He has these summer and winter expeditions. I booked the summer expedition with him, and within a couple months I was training with Wim. Yeah, this one story, we're in Spain and it was the first day, and Wim is so magnetic, right? And you can like, he vibrates, he's really authentic, and
you can just feel his energy.
Oh my gosh, he's so intense, and when he looks you in the eyes, he's so intense. And we went up to this bridge over a river and people were jumping off of it. And I went up to the bridge just to look and see. I was like, I'm just gonna look and see. I'm not jumping. Yeah, no. And like, I was literally at a PTA meeting the day before, and I'm like, how the hell did I end up like on the top of a bridge in Spain? And then Wim was sitting on the edge of the bridge, and he looked me in the eyes and he went, "Fuck fear!" And I was like, okay, fuck fear, and jumped off the bridge. It was powerful.
You're just like, I'm doing it.
It's like, I have no choice. When Wim looks into your soul and tells you to fuck fear, that's what you have to do. I had no choice. I like threw my body off. And then I came home and became an instructor because, I've been working as an end-of-life practitioner. It's been so fulfilling, but, waiting until you're getting close to death is not the time to like do life evaluation and start fully living. And now I really want to help people live. I want people to be happy, strong, and healthy. I want people to feel good in their bodies. I want people to have confidence and not fear and not have pain. I have felt the shift, and now it's my passion to help other people, especially women, learn that shift.
Yeah. Could we go like further back?
Sure.
And just like dive into how you got into yoga and meditation?
I got into yoga originally as like fitness, right?
Fitness, okay.
I was a cheerleader and danced when I was young, and I just wanted, I thought of it as just stretching, right? Like a lot of people, they were like, oh, I'll go to yoga to stretch, when really like yoga is a whole spiritual practice. And then I found my mentor. Her name is Claire Hartley at Rising Lotus Yoga, and yoga became something very different for me. Yoga was a physical practice, right? It did help me a lot with CrossFit, also, because I was in CrossFit, you lift the heavy weights and you push your body one way, and in yoga it's training your body in another way. But it's really the spiritual practice of yoga, the learning to calm my thoughts and calm my mind, and the finding that control over, I used to get so anxious and upset, and I felt out of control of my body and my thoughts, and the yoga and the Wim Hof Method have helped me regain control of that.
Would you say that was just like family, or just like...
Yeah, I think society, just like it's society. Not a lot, and I'm from LA, like third generation from LA, and we're usually a little bit even more open about these sort of things, but like it wasn't taught to me that was important. Like the idea of it was never even introduced. Of
connecting with your body.
With yourself and quieting your mind. Like taking the time to sit with yourself in peace and quiet.
Yeah, because I actually like look back into how I got into meditation. It was the exact same thing. It's like or actually it was, I think it was Will Smith who actually brought it up and I started like going down this rabbit hole of like self-development kind of books, and like every successful person was speaking about it. So I was just like, I have to.
There has to be something there.
There has to be something there, and I have to dive into it and expand my knowledge on myself, because I feel like we know a lot of things in the materialistic world, but we don't know a lot about ourselves, and just really diving into who we are and who we are as people and who we are as individuals. And I think before you can go out there and help others, you have to really be able to understand who you are.
And it was introduced to me, the thought was when I was younger, was religion. And I was raised Mormon. I went to a Catholic school. Most of my friends were Jewish. I was like exposed to a lot of religion, but for me, it never clicked. I thought like I would see people have so much joy in church and feel this peace, and like I never got it. It wasn't my thing, and so I just thought that like that wasn't my thing. But for me, church, my religion is being out in nature and having that connectiveness, that oneness, that love, that energy that we all feel. That to me is what source is, and I couldn't find that or feel that until I could quiet my own mind to feel that quiet.
Would you say you're still like connected to God, or?
My definition of God is a little different. It's a little bit more on the like. Do you know who Ram Dass is?
Ram Dass, no.
Oh, you'll have to do. Ram Dass is this spiritual teacher. He actually was a professor at Harvard, and his name was Richard Alpert before, and he and this other professor,
Richard Alpert.
He and Timothy Leary were the big, like founders of psychedelic studies.
Okay.
And they got kicked out of Harvard, and this is like in the 60s. And Ram Dass went to India, found a guru, and came back as a spiritual teacher. And so this idea of that, like, God isn't a being, that God isn't this like just this creator, and it's not this like male father figure that's keeping score, and like you're not doing right and wrong, like there's not this good or bad. It's that God is this connective energy that we all feel. It's the love that we all have with each other. It's the beauty of a flower, the wind in your hair, like that's what it is. It's not like this entity. That's my belief in it.
Would you like call it that, like the universe, or
source, universe, like everyone can call it something different, but it's more of the feeling for me.
Yeah, I definitely want to dive into that and just understand more. But yeah, going back to Wim Hof. So you were in Spain. You went out to go into Spain.
Yeah, Spain was like adult summer camp. It was super fun. We did crazy things. We sat in ice baths for way too long. We climbed like the cliffs. It was absolutely beautiful and life-changing. And then I came home, and there's instructors all over the world. And so I went to a couple of workshops with instructors, which I highly recommend people do. Every instructor does their workshop a little different, so it's worth checking out other people's workshops.
Because you might resonate with one instructor versus another.
And then I do them usually once a month with my partner Bria. We do them once a month in Los Angeles. So I came home and wanted to be an instructor. So that is basically a year-long self-study. We study a lot at home, and then I spent a week in the Northern Cascades in Washington for the actual instructor training, which was beautiful, and went swimming in glaciers. And then I came home and went and did the Spain trip with Wim, where not Spain, I'm sorry, Poland.
Poland, okay.
So
you were an instructor before you did the Poland trip.
Yeah, I just wanted that experience, not as an instructor, as a participant, and it was amazing.
And then like becoming an instructor, like what? I'm sure you don't want to give too much away of like exactly what you were doing, but
we do a lot of the study and the science behind it, and the safety behind it, right? Because there are some risks of doing the Wim Hof method. We don't do the breath work in the water. The breath work is something separate. And also, in the breath work, it can be a big emotional release for people. It's very common in our workshops that someone starts crying or even laughing, and learning how to be hold space for someone if they're processing really big emotions, how to help them do that in a safe place. And then learning the mechanics of breath work and how to lead it. So that's what our training was in. Yeah.
Interesting. I love that. I've seen a few of the instructors, and you guys like all you have this look. I don't know, certain people who are into meditation and just spiritual work, you guys have this powerful look in your eyes.
Oh, thank you.
That you could, and it's this calmness. One of my friends who actually got me into meditation, Brandon, he's always had this calmness and like stillness and like this look in his eyes, and I'm sure that just brings you joy, like seeing others finding their joy.
Oh my
and
gosh,
finding
nothing makes me happier than watching people step into their own power, right? Because like it's all within ourselves. We can do it, and we have the tools available to us. So we just need to be taught how to use those tools. And so to see someone that has a lot of fear about the ice, or even my last workshop, there's a woman who said that she's a control freak, and it's hard for her to surrender, and she's terrified of it, and that during the breath work and the ice bath, it was the first time she felt comfortable surrendering and feeling vulnerable. And it was like, that is amazing, because that's how you find peace and real connection with people. You can't have a connection in a relationship with someone unless you can be vulnerable with them. An authentic relationship anyways. And so for her to feel comfortable in that vulnerability was so powerful.
You're almost breaking down all those walls that you've had up for your whole life, and some people never break them down until they're
and having those walls up prevents you from real true connection. Right? You never get to share your true self if you're blocking part of it up.
Would you say after you learned Wim Hof you let down those walls, or
I think what the Wim Hof Method did for me in particular was that it made me feel like a badass, right? Like I'm a hardcore motherfucker. Like I can do all these things. I'm not just a mom, I'm not just some girl from the valley. Like, I am brave, and I can face my fears. And when you have that freedom of not being scared of things, and when you feel really confident in yourself, it makes life so much more fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you're owning who you are. I remember when you were telling me, in the mornings I dance around naked and like my neighbors can see me. Yeah. Like, that's you owning who you are.
I don't give a shit. If they haven't seen titties before, it's about time they did. So it makes me feel good, and like, something as simple as like going swimming in the ocean. When I was younger, I barely went swimming in the ocean, even though I live in LA. Like, I just wasn't something I did. And now every chance I get, like, why not? I have it available. Why should I be scared of it?
I think it's almost like just diving into those like childlike behaviors, and it makes you feel the most alive.
Right.
Like when you instructed me and we did the Wim Hof breathing before we did the ice bath, I couldn't describe the feeling of just energy, like the sun. That was the first time I did Wim Hof with the sun like on me, and it's like I just felt alive. This like this tingling, and then I opened my eyes like after the third round, and you were like how did that feel? And you were like, let me just give you a hug, and that just like felt so good, and just like soothing for my soul. Thank you again.
You're welcome. It was so much fun. I know when you reached out on Instagram and said, do you want to do a podcast? Like, something in me is like, he needs to come over. Like, he needs to come over. Like, we didn't even know each other. I didn't even know your name. And I was like, come over.
I know,
come on, honey. It's all right.
I'll show you everything. Yeah. Even doing the ice bath, like, I had all these, like, mental barriers. Like, no, I haven't done this in so long. Like, I don't know how cold it's going to be. And just going for it. Oh, my God. It just felt amazing.
You did great.
Just, like,
you were like... there, you were centered, you were in control, you did a great job. You didn't even, like, it looked like you got in and got relaxed really quickly.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was like freaking out, but I'm just like, and even just again, it's your calmness and your energy. It's so soothing, and I that like grounds me too. Like, I felt grounded. And
well, in life, it's always great to have a coach and a mentor. Right? Just someone that knows what they're doing so that you can go through the process. And so that's why, like, you can try the Wim Hof method at home absolutely for free, but that's why it's nice to go to a workshop or go to a training and get guided by someone.
Even just doing it in a community, like what you do, and I want you to go into like some of the events that you have coming up.
Okay, yeah. So we have workshops usually once a month, sometimes more, and those are on the Wim Hof main site, or my Instagram is Breath, Body, and Soul, and I post them on there. Or my website is ChristinaCasey.com, which is being built. It's not fully up yet. So we do those Wim Hof workshops. I do private workshops all the time where so most of my big workshops are at CrossFit gyms or yoga studios. Okay. And then private ones you can come to my house, or I go to people. And then I also have a 4-week workshop for women called Breath, Body, and Soul, where we talk about different styles of breath work, and then we talk every week, and then we also talk about our bodies and human optimization from a feminine lens, because most scientific studies are done on men, young men, and it's because it's hard to take an accountability a woman's menstrual cycle because it changes things. Yeah. And women, we usually know very little about our menstrual cycle. Like, we know when we're on our period, and we know when we don't have our period, and then if we don't have it, we know there's a problem. But we don't really understand what our hormones are doing. So we talk about that, which is really powerful. And then we go over soul work, as women, what our ancestors did to connect to feminine divine energy, how we connect to that source into ourselves differently than men. Which
how would you say how is it different?
So for women to really feel empowered in themselves, they have to be comfortable with pleasure. And women are, in our society, we're taught that, like if you're a woman seeking pleasure, then you're going to be chastised for it. So it's understanding that our bodies are meant to receive pleasure, and that's okay, and taking the shame away from enjoying our bodies. So we'll go over like breast massage and things like a yoni egg practice, which is an egg women put in internally and do different practices to strengthen their pelvic floor, or movement and dance. Most cultures around the world and our ancestors, women danced. Women had a flow. That's how you kind of move our energy. And a lot of women, when they get stuck or feel anxious, if they just go and like move their bodies a little bit, that anxiety will flow out of your body.
Interesting.
So I love this workshop. And then I have a women's retreat that I'm hosting in May in Normandy, France. And it is going to be amazing. It's also Breath, Body, and Soul. We're going to do breath work every morning, then we're going to go swimming in waterfalls and go have picnics on the beach and drink French wine and stay in a chateau and go horseback riding.
So you're gonna do it all. And just
it's so good. I have that's in May, and then hopefully again in September.
Okay. Yeah. And what would you, again, like, I love retreats like that, and especially with your specific sex, like males do it, like there's male retreats and there's like female retreats that you can do, because you're bonding and diving into what it means to be like a female and accepting yourself too.
And kind of just having that sisterhood or brotherhood, like that connection and community is so important. Yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun, like on top of it. Which we
and
all
you're going to be in France.
Right. Oh my gosh. The most beautiful part of France too. This part of France is absolutely magical. It's stunning.
Jeez.
I know. Maybe I'll do a men's retreat, and then you can come to that one.
I would love to. Even just like the monthly.
Oh yeah, and then I have monthly gatherings for people that have taken a Wim Hof Fundamentals workshop, because the workshops are important because we go behind the science and the safety of how to do the breath work and the ice baths in a safe way. And so once you get that down, then once a month we have a party here where we potluck. People bring the best food from all over, and then we just hang out, and I have a jacuzzi and my ice bath, and we bounce back and forth. It's really fun.
Yeah. And I'm sure those are all kinds of people, just like that are all like kinds of fields,
all ages, like from 20 to 60, from all different walks of life, and that are just coming together because they want to work on themselves and want a community to feel supported in that. Yeah, which is fun.
And that's what I I've seen, I don't know if you know Yes Theory.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I think they went to
Yes.
Wim's house in Poland, yeah.
They did a docu like series on Wim, and it was just so interesting because Wim, he's so like present in tune, and he seems like all woo at times, but it's just so like direct. It's like the way he answers.
he can be a little woo woo, and he's crazy. He's a change maker, and most change makers are kind of crazy, and he has an intensity about him too, but he also has an authenticity about him. He genuinely wants everyone to feel better. He wants everyone to step into their own power, and you can feel it when you're around him. And it made me like, that's what this change in me too is like, gosh, I've done this time helping people die. I really want to help people live, because I know how good it feels now. Yeah. And I've felt it in myself.
How do you like balance those two things, like going into like nursing and helping people die, and transitioning to helping people live?
So death can actually be really beautiful. It's a part of life that we don't always talk about and we don't always prepare for, but it's going to happen to all of us. It's inevitable, and so my patients are going to die whether I'm there or not, and so I'm there to make it as peaceful and beautiful and surround them with as much love as possible. So I come in and make sure that they're comfortable and that their family's supported, and it's really deep, meaningful work. My job is very meaningful, and so that, and also that's that reminder that I talked about, that like life is also not permanent, and so I'm going to live every day fully, so that when I'm laying on my deathbed, that I'll be like, oh, I did that shit. Yeah, mountain check. Mountain in shorts in a sports bra, done.
And please, we haven't even touched like all the things that you've like done. Please, can you go into that story about you climbing up the mountain?
Mount Sniezka.
It was in Poland.
It's in Poland. So it was with Wim, and it was a really deep retreat. I did some of the most powerful breath work on that retreat, where I felt like we think you may have a DMT release, deep breath work.
Oh my gosh,
and I'm pretty sure I did, and I like hallucinated and felt like I levitated out of my body. It was really deep breath work. And then we climbed up the mountain, and men in just shorts, women in shorts and a sports bra, and we were very focused, and we were really focused on our breath, and I was not cold.
How cold was that mountain? Like what was the temperature outside?
It was snowing.
It was snowing.
It was it was
so active. Below freezing.
Yeah, it was snowing on us, and so when we got up to the top, and we were so focused, right? And then when we got to the top, and we started to take pictures and have fun, then like my body locked up and started freezing, and I couldn't dress myself because my hands were so cold. So someone else had to come and like put my clothes back on me and like put my gloves on me. It was insane. I do have another crazy story that I didn't even tell you about. Okay. So like a year and a half ago, I went to Sedona by myself, which is in Arizona.
Yes.
For like spiritual work on myself, and I did a lot of hiking, and I picked this one hike. So part of Sedona is like these red rocks, and the other half of Sedona has those red rocks, but it's also kind of a forest. And there's a hike there called West Fork, and it has a river that runs through the hike, and you have to do these water crossings. And so I was by myself, and it was like 100 degrees. I was in like shorts, a tank top, and some hiking sandals. Yeah. And I went off the trail and ended up spending the day, some psychedelics may have been involved. And I spent the day in nature, like just swimming in the water and dancing around. There was this tree that I connected with, and I was like making mandalas. I had this beautiful day in nature.
You were making your own food too?
No, I wasn't eating, but mandalas are like these rocks and leaves, like they're pictures that you can make. Okay. It's like a dedication to someone or something, and I was singing by myself and singing in the water, and then the sun started setting, and I was like, oh, the medicine had worn off. I was like, oh, I should go, because it's starting to get dark, and I thought there was only one trail in and one trail out, and there was not, and I took the wrong trail. Oh my gosh. And I ended up being lost in the forest for the night by myself, and the temperature dropped down crazy low, and because we're in the desert, and so it went from 100 degrees to like, I'm sure it was below the 40s because I was shivering.
And what did you have?
I had nothing. I had a tank top, shorts, sandals, and I had a backpack with some water and a protein bar, and my phone had died. And
oh my gosh.
And there's all these water crossings, and it was pitch black, pitch black, and I grabbed a stick and was like trying to find my way, and I kept falling into cactuses, and then at one point I realized I was on the edge of a cliff. So I backed out, and then through one of the river crossings that I had to walk through, and luckily I had these sandals instead of tennis shoes because
you didn't even have a flashlight or
nothing. No, I could just walk through the water instead of having to take my shoes and socks off. I found an island, and I figured I would stay there because if an animal came, I could hear it walking through the water, and they had a sign that said that the fox population may have rabies, so I was concerned that like a ravenous fox was going to come get me. And so I laid there for hours just doing breath work to keep myself warm. And also the moment that I realized that I was lost, I was completely calm. I was like, okay, I'll get through this. I'll figure it out. I've fasted before. Like, I'm on a path that I'll be okay. Where without the Wim Hof Method practice, I would have lost my shit. The old version of me would have lost her shit and freaked out and not been able to make smart decisions. But I was able to like keep my focus. I did breath work for hours to just keep myself warm. And even with that, I was still like shaking. The temperature dropped really low. And then out of nowhere, like the moon moved, and I all of a sudden could see the path that I needed to go on. And I could only see like 3 or 4 steps ahead of me, and the path kept changing, and I had to do different directions. And I'm like, I'm just going to follow my intuition. And I got to my car at 5:30 in the morning. And I know, and I was completely scraped up. Like I had scrapes all over from like falling into the cactuses and falling down. And I had just enough time to like run to my hotel, shower, get to the airport, drop off my car. And then when I got like sat down on the airport or in the airplane, I was like covered in abrasions. And this couple that were sitting next to me that looked amazing. They looked like they just came out of a rap video. They like coordinated, had jewelry. They looked good, right? And I'm sitting there like scraped up, and he looked at me and he was like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Yeah.
It's like, I got lost in the forest for a night. How do you explain that to someone? And I know. So now like, and then once I got home, and like calmed down, then that's when it hit me like, holy shit, like I could have died out there. I've learned a lot of lessons.
do you think if you didn't know the Wim Hof Method, do you think you could have potentially gone hypothermia? Or
I think so, yeah. It was really cold. It dropped down really, really low, and I also don't know like if I would have made the right decisions. I think absolutely the Wim Hof Method saved me.
And I genuinely believe like in times like that of like pure fear and anxiety, like you being so calm and like collected and trusting your intuition, like you were saying, you didn't even know where the path was at times.
Right.
Like those moments, it's like it's kind of like out of body at times because you're just like fully trusting in.
And it was instinct. It was like instinct at that point, and like so. And I don't think without my training that would have happened. I would have just lost my shit and curled up in a ball and cried. Would have
been like, oh no,
and then froze.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
I love that story. Let's go back to like the DMT release that you like had. I've actually, I don't know if you've ever done Kundalini yoga. But I think I've had like similar experiences where I feel this like psychedelic, like psychedelic feeling after I open my eyes. So would you say that is a thing? Does like Wim Hof go into? Yeah,
and they're doing studies. I was actually part of a documentary, my part called DMT Quest, and where they did EEGs on our brain while we did breath work.
Are those like scans?
It's a brain scan, and it doesn't. So the problem with the DMT is that it's really hard to measure it in someone's body. Like you have to go into their brain. So we just found out that our body makes endogenous DMT. And we think people at the end of life have this DMT release, and we believe that's what also may be happening with breath work, but we don't fully know.
Okay.
But I have gotten, one of Wim's sayings is high on your own supply. Like I have
Yeah.
gone places. The sun spoke to me. Like, I have left my body. It's been really powerful.
And people would like call you crazy, like for feeling those things and like being in those
Right.
emotions. But how do you? Would you say like when you go into those spaces? Because I think a lot of people are like, when they meditate and try to do these things, that they like try to reach a form of enlightenment. And I think I'm sure when you were in those moments, you weren't even trying to do anything. You were just trying to be with yourself, right?
Well, so in those moments, those sort of releases and those big experiences come from some deep breath work, and it's usually for me in a group too. There's a different energy when there's a group breath work. And so after I've had a few of those experiences, it was kind of like I was chasing the dragon in my own breath work, where meaning that like every time I sat down to do breath work, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the sun again. Like I thought I was gonna have this huge release, when sometimes it doesn't happen. Like I was so attached to having that experience every time. And so now, you know, people who don't believe it can happen, they should come to a workshop and we'll do some breath work and I'll show you how it can happen. But it's also, it doesn't happen every time. So if, you know, people are trying breath work and they're not feeling that, you know, it doesn't happen every single time like that.
What would you say to someone who's just getting started or?
Just getting started, I would say really focus on taking good breaths and really getting the mechanics down of feeling your breath, your belly move and your chest move. Do good quality breaths, and take it slow. And especially for the Wim Hof style of breath work, where we have these holds, you know, we do 30 breaths where we focus on the inhale, relaxed exhale, and then on the 30th breath, we hold at the bottom, we hold at the exhale. And we spoke a little bit about this, that some people get really focused on that time. The time doesn't matter, it's how you feel in your body. Your time is going to be different day to day. It's going to depend on how you slept the night before. It's what your stress level is like. So don't get so fixated on the time and focus more on how you feel in your body. We want to push ourselves in that hold when we're holding on the exhale. We want to push ourselves to the point where we want to get a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be a fight. It's not a breath holding competition. It's whatever your body needs in that moment. And then you take a big inhale and you hold that for 15 seconds. And then that's one round. And we usually, the basic Wim Hof breath work is doing 3 rounds of that.
Okay. Even though beforehand, before we got into the ice bath, I don't know what that was called.
We call them horse stance or hoo-ha's.
Horse stance, okay.
Yeah, the hoo-ha. And so the point of the horse stance is one, a tool to help you get focused with yourself, which you did a great job at. Of really like taking a moment and connecting with your body and your breath before you get into the ice bath and then afterwards. And then also because we're kind of squatting down, we're engaging our big muscle groups, so it helps warm our body up. Because after you do the ice bath, you know, when you're in the ice, your vascular system locks down. It constricts on your extremities and it dilates in your core where your vital organs are. And so all your warm blood is in your core, and then there's colder blood in your extremities. When you get out of the ice bath, that cold blood and that warm blood circulate and they combine, and what can happen is that cold blood can go to your core and you can have something called after drop. And that's where your core body temperature is just cold and no blanket will warm you up. It doesn't matter. You are just cold and shivering and uncomfortable for a while, and it can be dangerous. So that's why we limit ice baths in the beginning to just 2 minutes. Get used to it. And then the hoo-ha's, the horse stance, helps circulate that blood and at a more controlled rate.
And I love that before I did the ice bath, you made this like amazing point that I could potentially do 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, you could do as long as you want.
But then the recovery.
Right, so the true test of fitness in anything is your recovery. Yeah, you know, like I could run a marathon tomorrow. I'm physically capable of doing that, but my recovery is going to be shit because I haven't been practicing. I haven't been training for it. So you can go sit in an ice bath for 10, 15, 20 minutes, but then you're going to feel like shit afterwards. Like it's not going to be beneficial to you.
And I've actually never heard that before. The true test of fitness is the recovery after.
Right. Right. You know, like in working out, you know, it's how you recover afterwards.
Just so you're able to like build up that repetition, you'd rather have multiple sessions than just one session you're out for the whole week.
Right, exactly. Or even like emotional fitness. If you get one bad email and it ruins your entire day, you can't recover from that one bad email, then you need to work on your emotional fitness.
That's interesting.
You know, we want to be in life, we want to, like, stress is going to come. You know, we've talked about this. The guarantee is that you and I are going to have emotional discomfort and physical discomfort again in our lives. That is guaranteed. The only thing we have control over is how we respond to that. So if you're going to let one bad email ruin your whole day, then you need to work on, you know, processing your emotions a little bit better. You should read that bad email and go, well, that sucks, and move on.
Yeah. So how would you tell someone to process their emotions better? Because I feel like that's a lot of people, especially now, like these days, it's like mental health is such a thing, but it's like, how do you process your emotions?
So the Buddhists say that suffering comes from not accepting the reality of the truth, or suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they really are. That's where we suffer, you know, wanting things to be different. And so it's accepting what's real and what's not, and not trying to change that, you know, that and just releasing attachment and control of everything. Like as life comes at you, instead of trying to control it and micromanage it, just allow it to go through you and then pass on. Which is hard.
Yeah, I know.
Which is crazy hard, right?
Yeah, it's a practice. That's
oh
the
yeah.
way.
Oh, believe me. And like there are some days that I'm good at it, and then it's usually the days I'm not good at it, it's usually when I'm driving and I'm like, that bitch. Like, right?
My mom actually like goes into that. She sings a song now. Whenever she has road rage, she's like, I think she's like, I forgot what song she sings, but it's like a happy song that
to get her out.
Get her out of it.
So I started with, because I drive a lot for work, because in hospice I go to their houses, and so I started calling people friends. So when someone cuts me off, it's like, okay, friend, you need to get out. All right, friend, come on over.
Sure,
you're good.
Yeah.
But it's usually when I get hung up, I start thinking about someone that has wronged me, right? Someone that has done something to hurt me, and I don't feel like I've been vindicated or like validated. I want everyone to know that what they did was wrong and it hurt me, and it's like, why do I care? But those moments still come up, right? They still bubble up. I still lose my temper sometimes. I still get into like emotionally worked up, but it's shorter now, and I recognize it, and I can recognize it in the moment of like, I'm having like irrational thoughts right now, and I'm having big emotions, and I just remind myself that I'm not always going to feel that way. I'm having a big emotion right now, but eventually I'm not. This emotion's going to go through me.
It'll go away.
I'm going to release attachment to it.
I love how you're just so honest about you like feeling and being imperfect, because I feel like as an instructor and a teacher, a lot of the times they try to act like there's nothing wrong in their life.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're pretty much perfect. And I love
yeah,
how
no,
you can own
a true teacher tells you that they're still working too, right? Like, no, we're human. It's all work. You know, Wim himself says like, I'm not your guru. He's just a man, and he's just a man that has a message and has found some tools that have worked, and so he wants to share them. It doesn't mean that we're like that we've reached it, right? Like that we've reached enlightenment or we've reached perfection.
Perfection.
Every day.
And I think what I love about him is it's not like his method. It's just it's the Wim Hof like method, and he's willing to teach it. Like you're an instructor now, and you're able to teach.
He wants everyone in the world to try it out.
And that's what I love about just his message and just what you're doing and the work that you're doing. And I try to get my family, my friends, and just everyone to do it. And I won't give up until it's out there.
You just keep, I just keep introducing it, and I bring, like, there's still lots of my family members that haven't tried it, and I have an ice chest here ready for them to go at any point. It's, when people are ready.
But I think it's you being open to still let that room in so that they can receive.
Right.
what they need
And
to
then
receive,
also,
yeah.
you know, by example, that, you know, it's worked so well for so many people. And like, you know, you know, it's happened to me before, like where I've met someone and I was like, I want to know their secret sauce. Like, what do they have? My friend Bria, who's my Wim Hof partner, she's a TV editor. And after she started the Wim Hof Method, people at work came up to her and were like, what meds are you on? Like, what do you, and she's like, I'm not on any meds. I just do breath work and ice baths. They're like, nope, you have to be on,
something.
you have to be on something. And she's like, I'm not, I promise.
Damn, just high on life.
High on life, right.
Christina, yeah, this podcast has been amazing.
Yeah, thanks for coming over.
I just want to do one last question.
Okay.
What is a goal that you have to end off this year, or something that you're looking forward to or striving towards?
A goal that I have is I really want to, you know, as much as I love teaching and connecting with people, I'm really called to help women. I really want to help women, you know, face their fears. Most women are terrified of the cold, including myself in the beginning. But I really want to be a resource for women to feel good in their bodies again. And I'm hoping in this next year to reach even more. And because, you know, our community and our communities are based around women, right? If
Yes.
women feel good and feel connected, and because we tend to give so much, but if we can learn to receive too, then just the whole flow of life and the balance of the masculine and feminine are so much better.
Would connect, yeah. I love that message.
Yes.
Thanks again, Christina, for being on.
Yes, thank you.
Please check out Christina's stuff. I'm going to put down all of her links down below.
Yay.
Please give her a follow. And I just love
Yeah.
what she's doing and the message that she's giving out there.
Thank
again.
you. I'm going to give you a hug. You did so good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I forgot to...